The Inter-American Press Association and other press freedom groups have denounced Venezuelan police for using force, intimidation, and repression against journalists while they were covering recent demonstrations at the Colombia-Venezuela border.
We saw acts of violence and aggression towards journalists, confiscation of equipment and recorded material during the delivery of humanitarian help. We also saw how journalists were held for hours, the shutdown of digital portals, and physical aggression towards journalists.
The Committee to Protect Journalists also released an advisory warning international and local journalists of potential physical harm, as well as detention and prosecution by authorities. Both organizations say the attacks against journalists and attempts at censorship took place when trucks with U.S. humanitarian aid were trying to enter Venezuela. The aid was requested by opposition leader Juan Guaidó, who has been recognized as Venezuela's interim president by the U.S. and a host of other nations.
That is a perfect example of all forms of repression to freedom of press. Most importantly is that international media witnessed the Venezuelan reality and that the journalistic labor is protected because Venezuelan citizens have the right to know what is going on.
Jorge Ramos, lead anchor of Univision, said he and his television crew were detained at the presidential residence and their equipment confiscated after Maduro abruptly cut off their interview.
The interview ended after 15 minutes. I asked him about the lack of democracy in Venezuela, about the reports of abuse, torture, and political prisoners. And when I showed him the video on my iPad of some kids looking for food in a trash truck, then he stopped the interview.
Ramos and his crew were later released and expelled from the country. Jorge Rodriguez, a top Venezuelan communications official, posted a tweet that hundreds of journalists had done interviews at the Miraflores presidential palace and had fulfilled their journalistic work. A Freedom House report describes Venezuela as a country where there is no freedom of the press. Cristina Caicedo Smith, VOA News, Washington.